SSPTV News is proud to present this Veterans Day special. This is the Gino J. Murley Veterans Center in Scranton. We spoke to some of the veterans in that facility.
I was born, in 24 in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and there wasn't much work in the area, so when I got to be 17, I decided to join the Army. As soon as we finished basic training, I asked the motor pool sergeant, I said, this is what we do in Scranton, and this is what I've been doing, I says, and I'd like to get in the motor pool if I could. Oh, he says, then you got some experience. Oh yeah, I said, we took motors apart and so on and so forth, you know. So he got me right in the motor pool. But once the Korean War got real heavy, he says, you gotta go with the rest of them. I figured that, I knew that was coming. Because they needed every man they could get. Because the Chinese and North Koreans, they were coming in by the truckloads, you know. Bullets were just popping around like crazy. And I heard faintly, please God, don't let me die here. So I said to my buddy from Illinois, I says, what do you think? Want to go back and get him? He said, are you nuts? He says, we won't even get halfway back. I said, let's take a chance. I said, we're not going to make it anyhow, I told him. He was praying for Ali Resort, so I grabbed him by the shoulders. My buddy grabbed him by the feet. We start running with him the best we could. We didn't know if we'd make it, but we figured, hell, we don't know if we're going to make it. So once we heard through the grapevine, like a couple months before that, he was studying to be a priest or a reverend or whatever, and I says, Collins, that's our best chance out of here. I said, he's got that prayer book on his chest. I said, the way he's praying, I said, he's our ticket out of here. Once you get on the front lines, when they tell you we're moving forward, you don't know what you're going to get. You can hear the bullets whizzing by, and you're hoping that some of them don't hit you. But then my luck ran out, and I was shot 3 times. I caught 2 bullets in the leg, and this one here, this hand here, they shot the rifle out of my hand. Then I was in bigger trouble. There happened to be a medical ambulance there, and they took me to a hospital. And I spent 3 or 4 months there. And because I had the bullets in my leg and one in my hand. So I needed an operation, but they were so busy, guys worse than me, that they just put me on the ship and sent me back here to California. And they were gonna operate there, but they were so busy there, they just kept pushing it down the line. So then my discharge came up. I took the discharge and left the ride for about a year, and then I went to the VA hospital in Wilkes-Barre to have the bullets taken out of my leg, because I woke up one morning, it was a hot summer morning, I looked at my leg, it was black and blue and yellow, and it was hurting, the bone was hurting. Because the bullets were in there all that time. I got the Purple Heart, and I guess the combat medal, you know. But I wasn't too interested in the medals. I was just happy to get out of here in one piece. When you see how many got killed, you figure you want to do your share, you want to do more. That's what it is, you want to do more. And so some of them can get back home. The whole story is, you want to get back home, and the guy you're picking up on the stretcher, you want to get him home if you could. And that's how that worked out.
My name is Wilson Miller. I was born in South Carolina. October 10th, 1944. I used to be a shoe shine boy at a shoe shop. So the Marines would come in and bring their shoes and everything, and they were very sharp. And I decided when I was around 6 or 7 years old that when I grew up I wanted to be a Marine. So my brother and I were in the same platoon until they found out the hard way that he was allergic to penicillin. His feet swelled up and he couldn't keep up with the platoon, so they sent him to the hospital and determined that he had an allergic reaction to penicillin, so they put him in a different platoon. When I graduated, I made PFC out of boot camp, and he was my big brother, but he had to call me sir because I was a Marine and he was a recruit. He wasn't very happy about that. Myself and my brother were both aviation guaranteed, because we could identify tools and stuff, because our dad taught us about tools. So he became a helicopter mechanic and I became a jet engine mechanic. I was in VFA 242, which was a fighter attack squadron, and I was in maintenance control for a while, and then I had my own shop. What we would do was take the engine out of the aircraft. It was A6A is the intruder, and we would repair the engines, put them back in the aircraft and get the aircraft ready. Well, the whole time I was over there, we only lost one guy in our squadron. So our hangar got hit one night. That was during the Major Tet Offensive, I guess in 69. A lot of times when the rockets are exploding around you, it's almost like fireworks and you have to really catch yourself, Sometimes they'd be on top of the bunker and say, oh wow, look at that, and look at this, look at that. I have to do a lot of yelling, get in that bunker, I'm not gonna be writing a letter to your mama, I got back stateside and things were a lot different than I expected. I expected a welcome home and everything, which that was the only time, to my knowledge, in the history of this country that they didn't give a welcome home to soldiers coming back from combat. And I heard stories about some of the guys were coming back and they were spit on and stuff like that. So it's a sad time regarding that. It's like people were calling the Vietnam vets baby killers and everything. By being in the Marine Corps, when you get out and you apply for a job, especially if it's kind of military-oriented type position, like being a police officer or whatever else, they find out you were in the Marine Corps, they're more interested in you. And one thing about being in the Marine Corps, you learn very quickly responsibility. I mean, most of the guys go in there around, I was 18 when I went in, my brother was 20. But you're in charge of aircraft and everything that are worth millions of dollars. So you learn to be responsible. They teach you responsibility. I think they have Veterans Day. The true meaning to me shows patriotism and the sacrifices that the armed services make for their country. Of course, when you're in combat and people are shooting at you, you're not thinking country, you're thinking about buddy next to you who has your back. But initially, it's more patriotism that causes you to volunteer and enlist. So I think that that's a very good thing to join the military because it teaches you a lot. It gives you a lot of responsibility at a young age. Well, some of the things that people are doing now that they weren't doing a while ago, they're saying thank you for your service, and it means a lot to the GI to hear that. And my response is usually, it was my honor. And that would be fact, it was my honor to serve. And I was proud to serve.
My name is Clifford Davies. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri originally. One Saturday I went and hit all the Navy recruiters that I could around my area. And about 6 months after I graduated is when I went into service, 1962. Well, living aboard ship, being the Saratoga was a carrier, you get used to having about 8,000 people around you. worked as a mess deck master at arms. But when the subs would come in and moor to the side of us, they'd bring their information that they accumulated on their cruise. We would then have it key punched, sorted, and put into a computer, and we would create data reports for them that they could use, and so forth. To go into the reserves, to do a deployment for your service, for your country, I think it'd be great if more people would go in that direction.
My biggest scare in the world was when I sat down in the classroom and the guy said, "Well, gentlemen, I want to tell you something. I want to tell you face up. If you become a crew chief or a helicopter mechanic, life expectancy is 72 hours in Vietnam." "Thank you very much, sir," I said. And away we went. So I went through Huey School, and then I finished in the top 10 of the Huey School. So they advanced me to the Cobra School, and I finished in the top 5 of that one. We learned about armament systems and helicopters, what they use and stuff. We learned how to load them. We learned how to check them. And when I got to Vietnam, I was the only Cobra mechanic in the whole country. I did get shot at flying out of Da Nang in a Huey, and we got shot at with an AK-47 in the back of the chopper, but he didn't hit the tail rotor. So we ended up flying out of there 2,000 feet, and that's pretty high, the chopper. I think, one, they should appreciate the country we have and love it just like it is, because this country was built on trust and love.
As the Adjutant General, I'm the commander of the Pennsylvania National Guard. So our guard, we have the currently the second largest guard, we're the second largest guard state in the country. About 4,000 air soldiers, or airmen, and about almost 16,000 soldiers in our Army Guard. So I'm still active, and as the commander of our National Guard, essentially responsible to make sure that we're providing ready air and Army forces to the Department of Defense for our nation's defense, as well as to the governor to provide National Guardsmen to respond to local disasters here in Pennsylvania. Many people throughout our communities, throughout our nation, are witnesses to history. They love watching it. There's a lot of it on the internet. There's cable TV networks completely dedicated to it. What I'd like people to understand is our veterans are the ones that made that history. They actually got out there, like I said, raised their hand, they put on their nation's uniform, went out there and made history. You know, the world is the way it is today. You know, we have the freedoms that we have today because of what they did. And we should appreciate that, and we should thank them for their service. So happy Veterans Day to all our veterans.
You are watching the SSPTV News Veterans Day Special. You are watching the SSPTV News Veterans Day Special. Fritzingertown Senior Living Community in Drums takes special care of all of its residents, and many veterans take advantage of their Veterans Program.
My name is Joseph Francis Malloy, born in Drifton, Pennsylvania, February 5th, 1931. I was a sophomore in Hazleton High. I was 18 years old. I was in downtown, enlisted, and then I went to Great Lakes, Illinois for boot camp. I went to Brooklyn, New York we recommissioned the aircraft carrier Bennington, World War II carrier. And I operated a ship store for 2 years on that. It was one night I go over to Greenwich Village, and I talked to two girls, Audrey Jane Weber and Kathy Brown, and I told them I was going to ship over for 6 years. So they said, "Don't do that, go over and play with us." About 2 days later, we were watching television. I was watching with the two girls in New York. Disaster, it'd say 105 dead, 214 injured. Our catapult room blew up, and those two girls saved my life.
My married name is Elizabeth Shovelin, and I was born 1924 in Philadelphia. While we were there, they interviewed us to see what we would like to do, and I said something with airplanes. I don't know why I picked airplanes. So they said, okay, you're going to Patuxent River, Maryland, to the Navy Air Base, assigned to Naval Air Transport Service, Squadron VR-1. I was, well, what you would call a stewardess. I guess we had a couple of days training, and they put us right on the planes because they wanted them right away, you know. It was an adventure because our planes weren't fancy that we were flying in. They called them R4Ds and R5Ds. And the sailors wanted to know where the parachutes were. So we would say to them, we were told to say to them, that they're under the bucket seats. You just have to lift up the top. And there were no parachutes. To get into a parachute and then jump, people would never do it. And they couldn't because it's so quick, you're going down, you know. And we told that lie for a long time. We'd say, oh, they're under the bucket seats. That satisfied them. Our main job was to tell them everything was safe, you know. We hoped. The whole country was blacked out during World War II, and there were no lights. We flew in the darkness. We didn't see much of anything all the time we were flying, so the war was over. And that was beautiful. For so long, we couldn't see anything but the darkness. And here, when we looked down, you could see all the lights, and you knew where New York was, and you could tell by the lights, you know. It was something to see the country lit up. We were glad. Well, we knew it was peace. Well, one of the last days of the war, the commander of the base came to us and said, if you girls want to go to Hawaii, they opened it up for women. And we all said, no, we don't want to go to Hawaii, we want to go home. And late in life, we all decided we made a poor choice. I got the Victory Medal for World War II, and American Theater, I think, is the other one. I think Veterans Day, people should show respect to the veterans. Every place you went at the fairgrounds, they'd say, thank you for your service. Thank you for your, and boy, I'll tell you, you feel that. You like being recognized, even though it's years and years and years ago. There's a few of us left.
My name is Adam Cartwright, Sr., and I was born on October 30th, 1930. I was drafted in 1952. I went to Paris Island boot camp and quite a few experiences there. Learned a lot, learned discipline mainly. After boot camp, I went to Miami, Florida. The 3rd Marine Air Wing, the base just opened up. It was closed after the Second World War, and I got there. I was one of the first few ones there, and I was in supply there, so we had pretty busy at a while setting everything up and all. In '53, I got married, so I decided not to stay in it. You know, I didn't want to have my wife have that kind of living, moving, so I didn't stay in. I had the opportunity to stay in. They wanted me, but I went back to my old job for a short while, and I went to GI school to Macon, and I was at Nautilus Industries, and they left, and then I went up to Foster Wheeler for a while, and I was laid off, so I went to Barrett Henchins, and that's why I stayed till I retired. I was on a large drill operator. My time in the service helped me because it gave me a lot of discipline. I followed orders better, and it helped me in my whole life, being able to follow orders.
I broke my hip, so I've been in nursing homes all over the county, and I wound up here about 2 years ago, and it's wonderful. I'm very, very happy here.
This is the nicest place because it's friendly. They know the people, they know our likes, our dislikes. They take care of us, which we couldn't do on our own. It would be impossible.
I've been in Fitzroy town now about 2.5 years, and I like it here. I have an apartment, and the folks here are nice, and a lot of company. At home I would be alone there because my wife is dead and that, so right here I have a chance to meet people and all.
The veteran's benefit is for the actual veteran himself, or if he is deceased, it is for his surviving spouse, if they meet the qualifications. And the qualifications are, they had to serve a minimum of 90 days, and 1 day being actual wartime, and they had to be honorably discharged, which we would need a copy of the honorable discharge. There are a few financial requirements also that we would go over if they came to tour the facility. We would talk about that with the family. And if you would like more information on the Veterans Program, you could call here. It's 570-788-4178, and my extension is 1102, and I'll be happy to help you with any questions you have, or if you'd like to schedule a tour for our facility. And also, if you would come in, you could also talk to Paula, our Executive Director, about more of the VA benefits.
You are watching the SSPTV News Veterans Day Special. You are watching the SSPTV News Veterans Day Special. The Department of Veterans Affairs Mobile Veterans Center was at the Laurel Mall recently. It provides free outreach and counseling services to veterans and their families.
The Vet Center itself came out in 1979. It was for the Vietnam veterans originally, so they could have someplace else to go to get mental health treatment, PTSD, traumatic brain injury, military sexual trauma, stuff like that. So we continue that today for combat theater veterans. I've been with the Vet Center for 3 years now, 3 years September. I love the job. To me, it's more of a calling. I get to help the veterans. Having them come to me and thank me when I should be thanking them is a big plus. It's very rewarding. Well, my job on the Mobile Vet Center or in the office is to help veterans get the information they need for benefits. I can help them to find jobs, provide paperwork for filing claims or for enrolling at the VA hospital, but mainly referrals. Referrals for veterans that may need our services inside the Vet Center. So at the Mobile Vet Center, we have about 9 counties that we go to. We're out probably about 3 times a week. It depends on the week or if it snows. We'll offer services for other government agencies, a mobile triage or whatever they might need. So if they need us for a natural disaster like the hurricanes down south, we have units down there helping FEMA. We're received pretty well. Veterans like the fact that we only work, at the Vet Center itself, we only work with combat theater veterans. And a lot of them like that because they feel a little more comfortable. And the fact that most of our employees are veterans, it gives them a little sense of comfort. On the truck, we're received very well. Hazleton here is one of our best spots. We have people coming in all day long. If people would like more information about the Vet Center, they can go to www.vetcenter.va.gov or call 1-877-WAR-VETS.
Thank you for watching the SSPTV News Veterans Day Special.